How's it going, everybody? Hey. Sorry. How's it going? So a little refresher here. I was streaming about like an hour or two ago, and we did the line art. We got that all wrapped up. So I figured we would jam in a quick stream and a recording of the inks and all that good stuff. I know there's gonna be some people that are here that were here from the previous one. Webcam is like, hey, how's it going, right there. Normally it's way up top. So every time I look at the computer, it's gonna look like I'm looking way over here. Why can I hear myself? Let me mute that. There we go. Anyway, what we're going to do is, like I say, we're working on the inks here, as you can see on the screen. I'm also recording them, so let me just get that ready. Let me hit the old record button. I guess we're going to be recording right away. So why I'm recording this is it's going to be a process thingamajiggy. That's going to be another video coming out later. First, it'll be for Patreons because they're the ones supporting the Jesop King stuff. Patreon subscribers. So over there, they'll get the first. It's like the old school videos we used to do, where everything's condensed and narrated over top. That way, you guys don't have to watch these huge streams for this stuff. But if you're not on Patreon, this will get released eventually here for YouTube, so no worries there. Um, Pillhead, welcome back. Ryan, thank you, sir. Deku, welcome, welcome. I got some coffee. Got a couple chocolate chip cookies. So when we go for a little breaky poo, let me know if it gets too gross if you hear me slurping and eating delicious chocolate chip cookies. Pillhead, John, I'm almost done with animating. Just hey man, that's gonna be so killer, man. Thanks so much again for that. I'm looking forward to it, dude. Okay, so let me just, I guess, back up here. This is for you guys. I'll fill you in just real quick. Uh, no, actually, you don't even need to see that. Yeah, we haven't done the inks yet. So the line art here we did from the breakdowns a little earlier, and we're just gonna go ahead and slap some filthy inks here. A little update, I suppose, is since the last video earlier today, one of the notes I had was to add a thicker black stroke outline around the new logo here for Jessup King. It just felt too thin, so just by adding this little like chunky stroke around there, gives it that weight that it definitely needs. And then obviously this has been up here a little while. It's like I think somebody's calling it Keeman. I believe he was saying, "How's it going, Dennis?" Yeah. What's that? Best. So good. He called this like a stamp. Do you guys know what the actual term of this is called? Like on the old Marvel and DC comics, they'd have like this little thing in the top left. Do you know what that's actually called? I'm not sure what that the hell it is, but it just makes it feel more like a traditional comic. All right, so let's get our inking stuff ready to go here. So let me just see something here. Right. And I have a second version over here that I'm looking at. So if it looks like I'm kind of off screen, that's why. I wonder if we just ink with this one. So what I'm kind of going back and forth with here. Let me just do some tests here. Is normally I've been drawing and doing all this stuff at 600 DPI, but lately I've tried to just go back to 300 DPI. It's just easier for my computer to handle. So all of my brushes, they've had to like go down in size. Now this is the first time I'm actually inking with this new size. I think this one, I don't know, this, I feel like I can get out of control with this one. It's a little thicker than usual. You know what? What's the difference between 17 and 40? Well, that's probably why. Let's bring this up to like a 20. See how that looks. Yeah, well, we'll try this. Oh, Keeman, you just finished your own stream? Right on, dude. Okay. All right, let's ink. Let's do this stuff. Been a little while since we've been inking. It's gonna feel good. Someone asked back when we were doing the. I don't know if I showed the breakdowns when we were doing this. I don't think so, but I was talking about it, and somebody was asking about if why I didn't do like a cover for the first issue. The first time we were doing Jessup, I didn't really know what the hell I was doing with it. It was more like just an excuse to make a comic book, and they were called. I was calling them chapters. Then that's why it's like 60 pages or 58 pages somewhere around there for the first. I'm calling them issues now, is because they were drawn differently. when I first started the project, it was like a very traditional Monday and Friday style update schedule, and that was just in order to get things going. I don't think it was the optimal way to do the comic, only because I don't know about you guys. I'm sure most of you agree here. As a creator of doing them, yeah, it's great because you can just post it like that, and then it's always like there's an update feed and all that crap. But times are different now. Whenever you like consuming content, you find something you like, you want more of it right away, right? And when you're updating that way, like in the way I was doing it, which is kind of like the traditional webcomic model, especially when it's a longer narrative like this one is, it just, I don't know, it encourages people to wait until they come back to check out your stuff. And when you ask people to wait, sometimes they'll forget. And then maybe they were like super pumped because of something they saw, and then they go to check and it's not there. There's a lot of negatives I'm finding. But anyway, so this new way of doing it, we're going to try it out, is as each issue is done, then I release them all. And by calling them issues now, I'm going to do it a little bit similar to, I guess, traditional, Marvel DC style stuff, where it's once. If I could do once a month, that'd be great. But 22 pages, that kind of thing. I think this one's 24 pages, so we'll skirt around there. But now that I'm doing them this way, I get to do covers as well, which is really good. Which is, it helps make it feel more like a comic book, at least the kind of comic that it is, I suppose. Like where its roots are kind of coming from, if that makes sense to you. So we didn't do it in the first chapter issue or whatever because I was doing them a little different. And when I first did that comic, since it was like this, it's never intended to be for print, it's just mostly online. So there was no real reason for a cover. It just felt like wasted time. I could be using that time to just do pages. You know what I'm saying? Dennis is saying, by the way, I posted a link to the new Miles Morales. Oh, yeah, you did? Okay, I literally watched that before I watched this, so I think I'm starting to see some of the people that you guys use different handles. Um, but regardless, it looks really cool. I need to really get into watching more. And I say this, I feel like I say this thing every few months. Is like I really need to start finding time to watch animation, like manga, or not manga, sorry, anime and stuff like this. Because there's like the Batman ones that I still haven't watched, and the Spider-Man one. It looked really cool, like the action and stuff, right? I don't know. There's just something about animations that I can't. It doesn't keep my attention for long enough to like watch them all. I think I'd rather read the manga of it instead of that kind of stuff. But anyway, the Spider-Man one, it looked real. It looked killer. Ryan Cummins, the free comic book day, Jesop. Okay, yeah, okay, Ryan. Thanks for bringing that one up. Yeah, that one was the only time I did a cover. I guess was for the free comic book day, but it was sort of like a asset recycling comic cover, meaning I had already drawn that picture of Jesop and I just sort of recolored it in the style that the comic ended up being in, and then just pasted it. There's not even like a background; it's just like a purple gradient. But then it's appropriate, right? Like, because for the free comic book day one that I made, it was just it's a PDF, right? So when you read it, it feels more like a comic book. Whereas the way that the comic was uploading for the first chapter, it just I don't know. I'm sure I should go back, and I've been thinking about it. Now that we're kind of doing it this way, is going back and doing a cover for issue one. And most likely we will. It'll just be finding some time to like right now. Two projects going on. It's super difficult to get that time. But once the Marvel samples are done, I could probably jump into maybe sneak in some time to do a cover for that. We'll see. Because there's always new people that discover your comic, right? So all the new people that'll go back and find Jessup for the first time, maybe they want to go back to the first issue, right? And it probably makes sense to have a cover there for them. this looking? It's getting there. Dennis, same for you. Can't get an anime. It's a shame too, cause like some anime, I always forget the name of it. Somebody was posting it a little earlier. And AK, who's usually in the chat, he told me about it. It's like I'll butcher the name. Is it like Hero Academia, something like that? It's that you guys may have seen them popping up more and more. It's a superhero anime, but the main character, the main superhero, is he's got like blonde hair, and his eyes are always in shadow, and he's smiling all the time. He's got like two yellow pieces that go out there. That kind of stuff, like it's the action, man. I just like seeing it so much. Like not necessarily like the Dragon Ball Z action, like the Attack on Titan kind of action. It's just awesome. You don't get that kind of action anywhere, I find. And that's the stuff I want to see. Not that I always want to see action. Like I love when anime and manga they do those, like I call them rest on a moment, or it could just be the characters standing at a waterfall and they're just showing like insects and stuff like that floating around. That stuff's always really cool. It like puts you in the world a little bit. I tried to do that a little bit in the first issue of Jessup, and I'm finding if I'm making this switch, that's one thing I've got to try to make sure I do more of. Like I understand I'm trying to do the 22 pages or whatever just to make it feel a little bit more, uh, I guess, like issue based. But I want to make sure that when he goes to certain places where it makes sense, that we can still have like the rest on a moment I call them when I'm plotting the script. Like show some of the foliage and stuff like that. It's nice. It slows the tempo down a little bit, and it just lets you guys the reader and the audience kind of participate a little bit in the world. Because if not, like you just start flying through planets and places, and they're just backdrops. They're not even really that cool or important. And I find too, like when you add those little moments, those rest on a moment things, sometimes that's where your audience, right? Like they can start to attach themselves. Like here's an example with Star Wars. Like why do some people like Hoth more than like Dagobah or something like that, right? There's things there that you like. And if they didn't take the time, even in those movies, like just to kind of show some of the life that's going on there, you wouldn't. I would assume you wouldn't care about it as much, you know. So just some food for thought. I have not watched Berserk on Crunchyroll. No, I read the manga of it's one of my favorite manga, Berserk. But I haven't watched the anime stuff. Sometimes it looks cool, but you know what? I really don't like the 3D stuff added in anime. I was watching. There's that. Have you guys seen that Batman one that's coming out or something? That's like Samurai Batman or something. It was good, and then it just looks too. I don't know. I don't like the 3D stuff myself. I can understand why companies would do it, but I like. I don't want to say the imperfectness, but there's something about hand drawn stuff that's ironically, since I'm doing digital. But I don't know. But then again, I know I'll never watch it, so I'm like, it doesn't even matter my opinion on it. But I won't watch it just because I don't like it or I don't like the 3D stuff. I know I just won't watch it because I don't watch really anything. Shit, man, I still haven't even seen like Thor Ragnarok. I really wanted to see that. It's got the Hulk in it, man, and the Hulk talks. You know it's bad when you're just too lazy to even go to a movie theater. It feels good to be back in Incan, I'll tell you that. Hey, you didn't sleep for long, did you, man? Rest on a woman? No, rest on a woman. That's my mush mouth coming through. Mm-hmm. The Spider-Man, you're right, is 3D as well. I think even sorry, I think even Attack on Titan is 3D as well too, isn't it? I could probably appreciate it more if I actually watched it. It's easy to say I don't like it, but if I'm not watching it, I don't really. You know what it's like? Here, I'm gonna bring this back to video games here real quick. It's like people. This could probably get a little weird, especially if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But the new Star Wars Battlefront 2 game. I've been playing a hell of it. I've been playing a hell lot of it. That's not even. Is that even? That's not even English. And it's awesome. I understand why there's like some backlash with it and all that cool stuff. But there's people that say the game's just shit and they haven't even played it. But it's all. It's like it's actually, in my opinion, it's a great game. Plays well, everything. It's good. So it's kind of like my same opinion on what I'm talking about here, where it's like I don't like the 3D anime look, but I've never really watched anime that had 3D in it that I know of. So it's like I can't really say I don't like it because if I don't watch it all at first glance, yeah, but judging art off first glance is probably pretty shit. Young Justice is perfect example of 2D animation with amazing story. Again, yeah, I haven't seen any of this stuff. For better or for worse, there. Thor Ragnarok is great. It's like a modern Flash Gordon. Ooh. There's 3D MTV Spider-Man. I thought was really well done. Didn't see that one. Man, watch you eat is making me sorry. I'll eat off camera. I probably had way too many cookies today anyway. Just I'm a suck. You know what my vice is like pastries and black coffee. Love it. Here's a little tip for you guys and you ladies. So when you're inking digitally, there's this magical cancer that can happen. That's this like infinite undo that I hear people talk about all the time. The way I got out of doing the infinite undo, and if you don't know what that is, it's because digital, right? You can always undo something. You can. That means in your brain, you start to realize that you can always get a better line. So if you make a mistake, whatever the hell that means, um, you can just undo it until you get the right thing. If you want your digital to look less digital, because I hear people say that a lot, is get used to not pressing the undo button more than like once. Sometimes you got to do it because it's just like you just put a really shitty line on, or your computer did a little hiccup in the background or something, right? But if you imagine using like a quill or a brush pen or something, unless you're breaking it white out all the time, you're probably gonna blend in your mistakes. Let's say so. The reason I bring that up is right here underneath his belt. When I was tracing this line for line thickness, my line, like let's say that's the line. When I was tracing it, it went like this. Now it might not look that bad, but to me, I'm like, damn it, I missed the line. So my instinct is to undo. Instead, I just fill it black because it's part of the shadow, and it just adds to the imperfection of the art. If you know what I'm saying. Um, so get used to just doing that more often, and you'll find like right there. That was another boo boo that I just left the way it is and moved on. It just it'll help you get rid of that like infinite undo problem that a lot of people can have. All right, one thing I'm thinking here is if I start adding heavy blacks, because I know like right in here would look great with some black shadow work in there, but I use a lot of what's it called, color to do the work here. We'll see. We'll just get the line weight and then we'll move on. See how she's looking after. So when you come to Australia, I make you a shitload of vegan cookies and. Wow, is Jesop getting punched in the dick in the cover of his own book? I thought it looked like that, but I was hoping that the thought, like, I don't know, maybe it looks like. I guess. Yeah, I guess it does look like he's getting punched in the junk. All right, let's draw these monsters. How's that look? Yeah, that wakes. Balls of steel, man. So what are you guys working on? What have you guys been working on today? You guys just getting started? You guys all wrapped up for the day? Capcom Cup, man. I haven't. Hey Cedric, how's it going too, man? I haven't watched any of the Capcom stuff. Like I totally fallen out of Street Fighter for sure. How's Street Fighter looking? I feel like I'm sure you watch if you're watching the Capcom Cup. Or at least at some time you watch like Excellent Adventures, and it's like it just feels like the community is weird. It's in this weird spot. There's no Mike Ross. What the hell's going on? And I haven't played any Marvel. Marvel vs. Capcom. I didn't try that either. You guys are starting to look more and more like piranha creatures or something. Dennis is inking page 6 of 8. I like that. Progress, progress. Let me just hit something over here. Alright, just let me know if you guys hear music or something. You shouldn't. What is playing? What? There we go. Like, this is not music that I remember playing. Okay. Alright, zoom out here just so you guys see what's going on. So as you can see, like we've been streaming for about 30 minutes now, and like the inking is going super quick. I don't know if you'd necessarily consider this inking. It's more just like line weights, right? But it's changing the volume of it. We might go ahead and add solid blacks besides the mouths on these bad guys. Not 100% sure yet. Kind of hesitant because I haven't really done that so far with Jesop. It's mostly just been line weights. So I'm doing a lot of the heavy lifting with color, but we'll see. And we're done. Let me just take a look here. So now we got Jessup. I left some of this open. Maybe we can add like a leg here or something. Alright, we gotta add my favorite part. Well, not my favorite, but one of my favorites. Gotta have debris. There's always debris for some reason. Still gotta put the signature on there, and I'm gonna take a pass. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'll leave it up. I'm not gonna leave it up to you, but I'd like to hear your opinions too. So, should I add more black areas? Just let me give you a little rundown on the why before you plug in your answer. Besides just saying yes, just to see more inking or whatever. So I've tried to pull back a lot over the last few years of doing more inking than I don't want to say that necessary. It always looks really cool, but it's almost like letting what's there do the work and let the color bring it out. Since I'm coloring it, I know I can already make a lot of that work. But even let's say this was for another publisher or something like that, um, there's usually some pretty quality colorists out there. And when they have more room to experiment with shadow and light and stuff, it can look pretty sexy. So I've been saving a lot of that for kind of that direction. Oppose is going. Am I saying your name right? Oppose? Please. See, because like, okay, so this would be an example of like where I would put extra shadows. And the thing to remember here is right, like, let me just go back. Let's look at chapter one, because I want things to, not that it can't evolve, but things should look pretty consistent, right? So let's go to like one of the last pages, see kind of where we ended up. Like, yeah, this might work. So you can see there's a lot of shadow already being done with the color, but like Jesop and stuff, like he's got some heavier shadows and stuff in certain places, but it's not dramatic like I suppose I like this kind of thing. Let me show you. So I might go in and go like, I'm just gonna go real sloppy, so you guys can kind of see it. Maybe go underneath his pecs just to make him. It's like a lot of the stuff that'll be done in shadow that I would do with ink would just be done with color. I don't know. I'm like already looking at it, and I'm like, because here's the thing: once you start adding this stuff to your artwork, you have to use it everywhere, or else it's not gonna look right. And me, like immediately, I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of turned off by this. I mean, yeah, it's sloppy looking. Alright, let's delete it. One thing I've been wanting to do though, we can add for sure, is let's shine to his belt. So let's make it red. I'll knock the opacity back a bit. Yeah, I don't even like that. That was rendered like garbage. Alright, you know what? Instead of just waiting around trying to figure this out, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say this is it. Let's do some flats. Just to move it along, you can always add stuff later, right? Appreciate it, Keeman, though, for chiming in. Alright, so I'm going to do this. First, let's get our signature. We gotta find a spot for that. Art. Let's go to the secret stash. Signature. Is that the right one? Like being alone. Hey, hey, hey. So I think I went back to this, but I was using. Or wait, no, maybe it's in here. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I was using these because I just want. This is the thing. Will made a good point. What was it that just was getting thrown around? It was the Thanos when the Infinity War trailer came out, and it was Galactus. Somebody had the Salt Bay meme, but they put it as Thanos, and he had this awesome point. It's very true, and I think a lot of us can forget it. Is you don't know what art you draw could be used and spread around everywhere. And that Thanos thing was like everywhere. But sadly, I don't know if people ended up finding out who did it or not. But you can't read his signature anywhere on there, so you don't know where to go, right? So like as much as I always sign my art, it's like this anyway. But writing it this way, it's at least my last name. I just think it should probably just say Rector instead of Rector 16. Like I know why it does this for structure purposes. So let me just try coming up with like a one on the spot here. Give me a second, my friends. Domenico. Sorry, Domenico. Is that how you say your name? Like I have trouble just reading names. Period. But scene is pretty chaotic, and maybe more black areas can help the image to read better in terms of composition. But yeah, color could work as well. Okay, thanks a lot, man. Maybe you guys will see it when we get there. I don't think you'll need it, but I understand. It's like I used to add shadow to everything, and then once I stopped, it's almost like I feel like I have to relearn shadow again. Because I'm so used to not using it now that when it's there, I'm like, ugh, I don't know if I want to use it. All right. I feel like I want to put like the arrow things still. It just feels like it doesn't match up. Maybe even something like that's just fine. Let's try it out. Which one is it? KO F9, is that what it is? So it just takes up so much space. I know I can shrink it up. Obviously, that's like there's no reason for it to be that big. Maybe something like that. We'll leave it for now. Can always go back and change it. Sig. Alright, we'll save that up. Okay. Flats time. Flats time. Alright, so what we do is we grab the inks and the line art and we combine them together. And then I change it to, it's going to stay color, that's for sure, because I usually change to like a dark blue for this project. But we're going to go edit, convert brightness to opacity. Oh, I forgot I had that. Oh, sick. That way we can draw underneath of it and it won't change the color. Like the lines are just the lines here. Alright, let's get rid of all this stuff. And let's do flats. Remember the sun. Alright, let's kill that, press F1, get a whole bunch of stuff. Alright, so what we'll do is I've already got Jesop flats, so we're going to go ahead and start with that. This way we just get Jesop done first. We'll go in here and we'll tighten this up in a second. So we stuck with the body here too, by the way. I was thinking about it while I was doing dishes and shoveling. I'm like, should a robot have hair? Manly chest hair? Should he have it? I don't know, but decided to go with it. I used to hate doing flats, and I mean, don't get me wrong, they're still pretty tedious. Um, but in Clip Studio, I just find them to be like, just put some music on and make some shapes. They go pretty quick. Anybody else in here use Clip Studio and find the flats to be pretty, like, especially over Photoshop? get everything? Oh, we got blue. The leg. Now let me just open up another page so I can get that dark blue in here ready to go. I may as well copy that texture in here while we're at it. All right, so get these guys, copy. Okay, got our texture. Yeah, let's turn that off, turn that off. There we go. Okay. So I think he's fine. So let's put Jesop. Oh, it's saving. Oops. Oh, man. Okay. You done saving? I'm gonna wait. My computer looks like it's having a heart attack. Oh, no. I thought this. Ah, damn it. Looks like my screen recording software stopped working. Sorry, just give me a second here, you guys. How far did it go up? I don't know, I think it was working and then it just stopped. Okay, let me just save it here. Color 1. Record the screen. Okay, let's get back to it. Alright, so these dudes, I don't have anything saved for them just yet. So I'm going to open up the picture I had for them so you guys can see them. Don't have a name for them yet. They're just called monsters, but they're pretty. So there's a lot of red going on with these dudes. So let me just zoom in. I might shift the pigment of them a little bit just so that it's not all just flooded red down here. It might look really cool, but we'll see. So there's some in the background and stuff. What I might do is, all right, I'm gonna color all of them in, but then what we'll do is we'll hue shift it a little bit so it's like the ones that are closer they'll get a little bit more like orangish yellow, and the ones in the distance will get a little bit more purplish blue, but they're still red. This is a little trick because the first like little story info here, Jesop's been fighting these things for like 3 days, and there's lots of them. So I'm gonna have to figure out some way of doing this. So we may as well figure it out during the cover. Know what I'm saying? Fingers violent, still I'm silent when tragedy strikes at home. Hey Lawrence, welcome back, buddy. Question: Have you ever drawn Dale Keown's Pit? Here, can you see this at all? Let me, one sec. As my computer dies. What am I looking for? This guy. You guys probably can't see this, but hold on. Can you see that picture in the background? Here, let me try clicking on this. I don't know if this will work. The setup's not 100% here, so it's a little bigger. See that picture in the corner? That's the pit right there, man. That's Dale Keown. And then on the left there is Capullo's Spawn. Actually, let me, one second. This morning everything was like super dark. Actually, here, let me, okay, give me, give me 1 second here. We'll get this looking better. Whoops, wrong button. There we go. So it's not HD or anything like that, but yeah, right there, real sick, man. I had those. I don't know if this is gonna screw this up. Let's see. No, I've had those since I was a teenager. One of the comic book stores that I used to go to, they went out of business and they were selling that stuff. I think maybe like $5 each, something like that. So I've had them for a very long time. But no, as a matter of fact, I haven't drawn them. I haven't even read the comic. I just thought it was, to me it was the Hulk, right? And the rendering is real cool. Yeah, I was like a like young teenager when I saw that stuff, but I've never read it. Looks really cool though. Hey Michael, how's it going, buddy? How's life in the mountains? All right, let's zoom out here. Let's see, I'm pretty sure we got all our big shapes. Oops. Let me get this one. Just do one quick little check. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is I just want to, like I said, make some of these lighter and darker. So like this guy, it's in the extreme foreground. We're gonna go to orangish red, and hopefully that'll stand out a little bit more. Yeah, okay, it does. And then these dudes in the background. Get this. Bring it down here a little bit. Yeah, go a little darker. Yeah, might work. Might have to go a little darker than this. Just want to see with everything on there. Could be alright. I've never read. No, I haven't read a Pit comic. Life is better in the mountains than in the plains. I like that. Something magical about that. Okay, let's make this a little darker gray. Hmm. I don't know if I'm sold on this or not, but just keep it going. Like, just to be like candid with you guys too, right? Like, I don't read a lot of comic books, for better or for worse. Probably for worse, but the reason I got into comics, like, there was some stuff I was looking at that was really cool looking, but again, it was mostly like Joe Mad and other people around that time that started showing me like Capcom style art, and it was video games that got me really into artwork, really. And then once I saw that there were comics that had it, it was like I could get more of it, you know? And I started going that way. Superhero comics I got into late in the game. And what I like about superhero comics is that they are kind of like video game characters, really. They're just so over the top, it's ridiculous. But like a lot of the '90s character, like a lot of the '90s artists that are like really over rendered and that kind of stuff, like I don't know, I'm just not really turned on to them. I can appreciate them, you know, like your Silvestris, your Finches, your, to a degree, like Jim Lee's kind of there, but he's got kind of like an anime kind of look to him as well, in my opinion. Is like earlier stuff. Your Stephen Platts, your Dale Keowans, old school Capullo and stuff like those guys. They just really rendered and it was interesting looking stuff, but it wasn't anything that I was like. It didn't blow my mind like looking at like Street Fighter art did. That was just me. Are you planning to color the logo? No, I'm thinking of keeping it just black and white. It should pop that way. Like once, like with a white background, it doesn't look that good. But here, we'll put something in the background for now. What colors we got? We got blues, so like a greenish yellow background probably work. We'll bring it down here a little bit. We'll see. It's gross. Maybe like a yellowish. We'll figure this out. But just for a placeholder, right? So when the logo is there, it pops. Let's just get some. I need a color for this stuff, and I don't know what we're gonna use it. So we're gonna go with like a this color, just for our debris. Cats like Arthur Adams and stuff, I'll say too. Like I got these guys way late in the game. Like Kirby, I really only got into him. I'd say within 10 years now. Like I just never actively looked for these artists. I'm not sure. I think it was just like I don't want to say Joe Mad, Joe Mad, Joe Mad, Joe Mad at all, but Capcom in particular, like Bangus and guys, there's just I don't know. Maybe it was just because it was art from a different country that I wasn't really aware of, but it was just like I never saw that stuff here before. And the thing is, I was never actually really like looking for it, but when I saw it, it just spoke to me in a way that it was just like, man, that's cool. Like it's just pure style. Like Captain America was Captain America. He still looked cool. Spider Man was always Spider Man. Those guys always look really cool when you get like John Romita Jr. to me. I really love him. just because his stuff is different too. And I can understand why people don't really care for his stuff, but I think he still blows me away. All right, so now that I have these big chunky flats down, so what I'm doing here, just you'll see it right away, is I have the shape of Jesop down, right? And what I'm going to do now is I use that as a color hold in a way, excuse me, or a mask. And what you do in Manga Studio, is this showing up here? Let me just see. Down, where is it? Okay, so where is it? You can't even see it. Let me bring it up here. All right, so when you have this here, man, I can't. I keep moving it around. All right, so what you'll do is since you have that here, I'll bring it all the way to the top. I gotta move it down anyway, but I'll make a new layer, and this will be colored, right? But if you go here and you click like it looks like I don't know, a tin can, it says clip it layer below. Watch, when I click it, it turns red and it moves over. That means now like whatever color I pick, let's say this pink, and I'm coloring in Jessup, I can go outside the lines, but it'll never show up. It's masked, and for me that just helps keep things nice and tidy and organized. Let me just move back down, and now I can kind of go in there and just start adding the color, everything else that he is here. Arthur Adams is the peanut butter for your toast. To the danger zone. Check out my reference. Hey Matador, how's it going? Chris Samney? His name sounds familiar. His Black Widow stuff is mind-blowingly good, and I don't even like Black Widow as such. Maybe I should check. I don't know. I can't. My fault for not being educated on some of these artists. I'm sure. Like I feel like I'm always horrible with names, even with people. I need to see your face. So maybe that's something to do with it. Trey, how's it going, my man? Davon, you've got a Ryan. Sorry, you've got your Ryan Otleys and your Trad Moores. Yeah, I like those cats more. Those cats to me, especially Trad, like Ryan Otley. I fucking. He's amazing, absolutely amazing. Trad Moore, holy shit! I just found him out. I was when I was getting comics a couple years ago now. Luther Strode. Those are the only comics that I've read besides Battle Chasers. Honest to God, 2 or 3 times. I'd finish reading it and then I would go back and pore over the panels. His storytelling, it was like, oh my god, like I haven't felt something reading a comic book since I was reading Trad Moore stuff. That shit was just fire, man. He's bending perspectives and stuff. It's almost like reading The Matrix. What's he doing now, Trad Moore? Do you guys know? I went back and I saw he did like this little run on Ghost Rider, and I was thinking of checking that out too. What I like about Treadmore's stuff is like it's very dynamic, but he also does this one thing where I feel like there's a lot of pressure not to draw this way, where it's a lot of sideways shots, right? Like it's a lot of like acting, like left to right or up and down. It's not like dynamic, like you'll get like a Joe Mad pose where somebody's like coming up at you, and there's something right in your face. But his is more dynamic, clear storytelling, which I don't think like it's super hard to be an artist like that. But he does a phenomenal job. Highly recommend him. I don't even really know like his body of work either. So, it's the fingerclip studio paint. Yeah, it's a little bit of a trick. I think he's doing Venom at least. Which Venom, eh? Yeah, probably pretty good. Has anyone sent you Jesop King fan art? Oh, yeah, I've gotten Jesop King fan art. It's really cool stuff too. This is going to sound weird, but I like those little hair curls. No, don't worry about it. I swiped it from somebody else I saw, and I liked them too. It's like how like there's always a lot of ways of drawing scruff, and you could do like these little like lines and stuff, but it's like patterns of 3 or 4 curls in different directions. It's got a, I don't know. It's a nice look, and it can that comment can 100% be no homo. We're coming at it from an art thing. I got you, man. I got you. All right, what else we got here? So that's that. That's that. Okay, so Jessop's flats are done. That's why I like doing the flaps and flaps. Oh God, the flats in Manga Studio. Unless right now it's about to freeze because I got like a bajillion things going on. Let's see if we get lucky. Okay. Let's do the lips. Let's do the lips of these guys. It's just that it seems so much, I don't know, faster. And I'm done trying to push Manga Studio on you guys. No one gets out. Once again. Some flat. Did someone say they like curly hair? Someone say that? Two grown men said that. In context, short and curlies. Yeah, it's the way that the curlies are designed. That's what we're trying to say. The way these short and curlies are designed. Unreal. All right, let's get this gray pattern on these guys. Looks gray, right? But it's a green. It's like a opposite color. Oh yeah. By the way, Strip Panel Naked did a YouTube. What the hell is Strip Panel Naked? Did a YouTube on channel Sammy's Black Widow. I recommend checking it. I understand half of what you said, just because we're kind of talking about it. Hey Lars, welcome back. Welcome, welcome. All right, how does this pattern go on then? What the hell am I doing here? So it's sharp and a couple things in the front of them. Wait, where's it go? And we'll try it. Sorry, I'm flipping back and forth here, guys. I'm still learning about these characters here. Haven't had a chance to color them proper just yet. Oh, check strip naked panel. Then he breaks down comic storytelling. Oh, really? Okay. Strip panel naked. That's such a weird name. Strip panel naked. I get strip naked, strip panel naked. Did you have a chance to change the mouths? Did I change the mouths? Oh, I guess like how they look right now is how I decided to go with them. If that's what you're talking about, man. Still like the tablets, yeah. My family was evacuated, and some of my friends had their houses burned down. Oh Jesus, man! Sorry to hear that. That's crazy, dude. Well, glad everybody's all right. Can't imagine having your house burned down though. Question: seeing as how Jesop is an alien, what xenomorph would you think would be a cool fight? He's he's a robot, so I guess I could be in the same. Seeing as blah blah blah, what xenomorph would you think would be a cool fight? Alien Predator. Oh, like against him? I always like the aliens because it's swarmy kind of stuff, right? So it'd be similar to this, where you get I would imagine just more like the Predator, where it's like whenever you see Predator versus Alien, it's usually more than one alien. That way you can get like the swarm stuff going on, right? So I'd probably say aliens. I like aliens more than predators, anyway. So I'd go that route myself, anyway. Matador, hey Jonathan, after you get hired, thank you for that. After you get hired by Marvel or DC, do you have to call? Do we have to call you Mr. Jonathan? No, hell no. What? If slash when, like you say, thank you by the way, I get hired by any of those cats, um, I would hope you guys are happy for me. Not, and I don't mean that in like a gloating way at all, but sort of half of the reason, well, like the switch I've made with this, what I'm doing, whatever here on YouTube or anywhere really, is trying to document process and like the journey in a way. So if I get there, why I want you to be happy is because I'm hoping I can show that it's possible. Like however I get there, if I get there and it's possible, then I hope it encourages and it invigorates and sparks something with you guys and girls too, that not necessarily follow what I'm doing, but like action causes like a reaction, right? Like good things can happen. That's my intent for it. I'll like, and saying all that to answer your question directly. No, like I don't want it. I don't want you guys thinking I'm higher, better than, or any of that garbage. Because I'll be doing the same thing. The only difference is what I'm drawing is different, right? Instead of drawing indie comics and stuff like that, I'm just drawing a different character with a cape, or maybe they won't have capes. Okay, just real quick. Thanks for the question too, bud. So what I'm looking at is I really dig it, except like here they look really cool. Like this guy by himself, I think looks awesome. But when you put him in a scene of just chaos, this pattern is aggressive, which I don't think is bad, but I almost feel like it's maybe the color is wrong. So I'm wondering if we just lower the opacity, it might help a little bit. I don't know if I like that. Here, let me save this, and then we're gonna do some testy test. Let's close it up. Alright, let's grab you. Let's just do a little hue shift just to see. What if we go darker? It feels so dark on this monitor. Hmm. Alright, I'm gonna leave it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when we get there. See how she goes. Alright, so now that we got all that, let's save this. Normally what I would do is with each one of these characters, I would put like a shadow layer on them. But what I started doing, because it sort of speeds things up, is just putting shadow on top of everything. So um, let me just do this here. So this will put flats, and then I'll put shadow. And we'll start with this one. And we're going to start cutting out some of this stuff. And we'll do some classic lighting stuff. We'll just light it from above. Sometimes this works. I'm not feeling it. Let's color it. Color it like we used to do here. Go with large inking. Oh, I gotta turn this up. Some Sepultura, some blue roots, bloody roots. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Bloody roots. Look at these fake pecs. They just they're like blocks. Just. Matter. I'm glad I waited to read Jesop after issue 1 was complete. I enjoyed it a lot more. Well, thank you for reading it, and I imagine you're in the majority of people, because that's really how it's meant to be read. I just posted it to post it to get the ball rolling, right? But it's not the optimal way to read it, and hopefully, I'm fixing that mistake going forward. Make another day, just stand here, child. Everything will be alright. I was born of a man, you were my world. He returned me to my woman, me to my smile. close this window. I don't need that open. Close. All for you. And we're just missing V, eh? Just to spice it back up with with his juicy comments. I hope he's doing well. I think he was working on some stuff, and then haven't seen him in a while. Man, what a guitar solo. Holy shit. Good stuff. Well, for those of you that, let me bring this back up. Do you guys make, anybody in here, what's it called, New Year's resolution things? If so, you guys excited to start them? It's actually coming up super quick, eh? Unsung and the kids aren't here. Yeah, I know. Hey, Michael. Yeah, the purple is just a default color that I usually use. Like, check this out, right? So when we get the flats, right, if you put it on multiply, most of you guys probably know it already, it's just, it looks good with what's already there. It'll always looks good, this purple. So I have that saved and I just use that as default, but I don't know what, what's it called, the color we're using just yet. So if this is going to be like hot red, like danger kind of thing, I'm not sure yet. So I might change the color, but it's a great starting place that I find usually always works. There's rare cases where it doesn't. So I recommend using purple when you guys do your shadows and stuff too. Again, it's a great place to start. Nothing like some Slayer to keep you going, eh? Damn. Interesting. I'm happy to see a lot of like I've always heard a lot of like foo-foo or whatever word you want to use for like people that say like New Year's resolutions for losers or chumps or all that kind of stuff. But what I like hearing is people still making them. I mean, you might not think of it as like a New Year's resolution, but like a goal to hit for 2018 and stuff like that. That's cool stuff, and it's a good way. I don't know. I've gotten into it a lot lately, or over the last few years, just as a way to kind of like you get a fresh start. It's like looking at your to-do list for the first time and going, all right, let's just start filling up the calendar with possibilities. I saw this one. It was one of those like memes or whatever on Instagram where it shows like the mountain or somebody backflipping into water, and it's like, what is it? Each year has 365 decisions, and one of them could be like the one that kind of gets you going in the right spot, or the chance to get where you want to go. So like each day is your choice, right? You get 365 choices to draw, and each one of those choices in a year could lead to bigger, better things. It's like the thought of it. Rain and blood. Man, the metal playlist is just going. Now we're into some Megadeth. What? Kill the King. It's a good song. Compromise. The act of making the resolution seems to guarantee failure for me. Wow. Sorry to hear that, man. What do you think the cause of that is? I got a question for you guys that maybe you made goals or you're maybe thinking like I don't want to say your dreams aren't becoming reality, but your goals aren't coming to fruition. Why do you think that is? Are you guys giving it like an honest to God, the best you can do? Try like are you trying the best you can, or are you kind of half-assing it? Generate more smoke than heat. Like I'm a gun. What you hear is what you can. How's this look with the shadow? Balls are broken. I will get myself back from here to kill the king. The king is dead. Because I'll be honest, I mean, I don't think I've gotten my chance to work freelance or whatever because I've been slacking. I think, like, I work, I say I work a lot, but in the back of my head, I know it's not as much as I need to and what I should be doing in the professional sense, like rain or shine, sick or whatever, everyday draw. It's difficult, but that's the resolution I'm kind of making. That switch in your mind from going amateur to pro. I think I still have a lot of amateur attitude. I talk a good game. I like good stuff. Megadeth is your go-to band for man. You know what? Like I fucking love Megadeth. My first band when I started, I got into music listening to it probably in grade 10. Most people get into it much sooner than that. And the first CD I got because of a buddy that got me into it was Metallica Reload, I think, and it was oh my god, it was amazing. And then I realized after the fact that Enter Sandman they had done, and my parents played that shit all the time in the car. So Metallica was my go-to band for a very long time. And I listened to Megadeth, and it was just like, no, it's not Metallica quality. And then around, I forget when, maybe it was 7 years ago now, I heard Slayer, and I thought it was the most disgusting thing I'd ever heard in my life. And then I came into listening to it again. I can't remember how, but I decided, I'm like, I can't understand what the hell this guy's saying. So I did like a lyric search or whatever, and it was Disciple. And I was really getting into the anti-religion stuff. So anything that was like derogatory towards religion, I was like, man, that's cool. So they had one called Disciple. If you've ever heard the song, you guys know what I'm talking about. If not, I recommend checking it out. It's a great song, regardless. And then once I heard the lyrics, I was like, man, I get it. And then I started listening to other songs, and I could start to hear it. And then that's when I just started going, oh man, I got to hear more of this. And then thrash metal started, and I didn't even know like the Metallica I got into when I first started listening to them was like metal, I'll call, but it's not thrash metal. You go back and you listen to like their old stuff, that's thrash metal. And then Megadeth came in, right? And then I was just like, oh I'm in. And this is insane. I imagine if when I was growing up, if I had the hair, I probably would have dressed like with the black jeans and all that stuff. Just too cool. I don't even remember anybody in high school and stuff dressing like that for me. But fuck, that's such good music. That's sad to hear. I'm making up for it. Trust me. Listening to opera now. I'm listening to all sorts of music. I don't want to make this sound like a sad time with John or whatever, but like growing up, there was a lot of reasons to just get out of the house. There was a lot of I'm hesitant to say it because I know there's other people that I feel like by saying this, it's almost like there's people that go through much worse, so it's like I shouldn't even call it that. But there was a lot of abuse from my mother. So my brother and we would like rarely go home. And if it wasn't for this comic book store, I don't even know what would have happened, to be honest. Like where we would have ended up. And that's where our love from like Magic the Gathering and card games, and that's really when my brother and we became super super close because we didn't really have anywhere else to go, kind of thing, right? So that got me like really looking at comics and stuff like that. I never would have been in those places before, right? I would have been mostly just video games and stuff. But that's why I really wasn't into music and stuff because I didn't really have a place to listen to it. You know, once I started getting into like Metallica and all those things, I remember going out, saving up, and buying my first CD player. And I would I'd walk around holding it like this because if it walked and bumped a little bit, it would like skip, right? You guys probably remember anybody that has those. And I bought the one that had this. It was like enhanced bass, and you could just hit the switch, and it was like it would just go like that. It was like more of a muffled sound than anything. But then I got into Alice in Chains and like alternative stuff. But yeah, man, it's good stuff. When you're in so tight, you let me know. I hooked on a feeling. Is that true? I feel like there's a conversation here that I've been totally missing. Matador my new last. Sorry, my New Year's resolution last year was to make at least 20 pages this year. I did two. I did. Well, why did you only do two? If I could get a Christmas gift for everybody here, it'd be the War of Art. So ask for it. Hooked on a feeling, do 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 do. I'm high on believing. Lars, would making a bolder contour of the hand in the monster in the foreground separate just some more. It could, and I'm glad you bring it up. I might go back and add it. I'm not sure. I'll see how this is coming together. A lot of this is testing still, trying to figure out like what that line weight is for. I know something should be thicker, like this whole arm should be thicker, but I don't know if it the color fixes it to the point where it's like it's just my eye looking at it at a certain stage that makes it bad or wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm hooked on a feeling. But I'm glad you brought that up because then it's not just me. Like I'm not the only one noticing it. So it's definitely sticking out. Hooked on a feeling. Do, do, do. I believe. Ooga chuck. Ooga chuck. Do we go? You know what? I'm gonna make a separate shadow layer for the bad guys in case I need to mess with that a little bit. Bad joke of the year. I'm changing my resolution to from 720p to 1080p. Somebody had to say it. What's that? The belt buckle showing off too? What's that? Or the placement of the belt buckle? What is it? Is it just the twist? Because he's going this way and then it's coming dramatically this way? Or is it just the curve isn't enough? You only did 2 pages because, you had. What happened was life, and I had to work 2 jobs, pay medical bills I had this year. That's my. No, hey, shit, dude. I can. I don't want to say relate, but I understand it. I think we talked about this before, too. Is there a chance. Is it like the style you're drawing in that you like to draw that you can only hammer out 2 pages, or is it just like exhaustion? Because I wonder if there's like some sort of happy medium you could get at, right? Where maybe it's just changing your style up so it's like super simple until you can get back to that free time. If you remember what that's about, to sort of draw more detailed and stuff, maybe. You're stuck in. Oh, sorry. I feel like the curve isn't enough, and it should be more to our right, throwing off. Okay, no, no. I hear what you're saying. Okay, I could take a look into that. Thanks, Lars. Appreciate it, buddy. Matador. I'm stuck in sketch mode. I get up, start doodling, and end up doodling all day long. Hmm. Do 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 do. We're just two lost souls swimming in a soish bowl, year after year. Everybody's talking about Jesop's junk, man. Oh my gosh. He'll be okay, guys. Here, let me. You guys might. I don't know. Let's play a little game. It's not even a game. Here, let me turn this music off because it's going to be super distracting for me anyway. I'm going to read some quotes from the art or the War of Art. The War of Art quotes, and I want you guys to discuss them. What do you think about him? I think he's full of shit. I just want to see. Okay, let's go here. All right. Well, this one's. What do you think about this one? So here's a quote. Because I know some of you guys won't read the book, but maybe this might get you thinking. Okay, so if you find yourself asking yourself and your friends, am I really a writer? Am I really an artist? Chances are you are. The counterfeit innovator is widely self confident. The real one is scared to death. True? False? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? I don't know how long the delay is between what I'm saying, what you guys are seeing. It sounds like some of you guys are answering stuff way after. Anyway, Keeman, when do you usually apply ink washes? Ink washes, ink washes. I only do ink wash if we're referring to the same thing. I only do ink wash on traditional stuff. I don't do it digitally. Who's texting me? Imposter syndrome. I'm just a guy who draws consistently. Jokes on him. You don't even call yourself an artist. Lawyers is saying probably right. Hell, I have an imposter syndrome as a human. What I dig about that myself is whether it's right or not, I don't know. It sounds, I guess, right because I can relate to it. But what I like about that is it. He talks a lot about just being war and all that crap and getting super mystical with it. But there's been so many times where I've had doubts and things, and that kind of comment and language that he uses in the book, like that, it's reassuring because it's like, all right, there's other artists and writers, same thing, that are going through the same thing, and if we didn't feel that way, we probably don't love it enough. Somebody uses a really good example in this other video I was watching, where they were saying, have you guys ever heard of like people getting cold feet at a wedding? Like it's today's their wedding day, but they just can't go through with it because or they do go, but they have just such cold feet it takes them forever to like go and do it. And the reason's not because, or he suggests, and it sounds pretty right to me. It's not that you don't want to do it. It's just it means so much to you that you're scared to do it. Because if it didn't scare you, if it meant nothing, then you wouldn't fear it, right? Like if it was just a whatever, it's just marriage. I don't care. Like I'm not even really in love with this person or whatever. My whole life, these kinds of things. It's you're not scared because you're like, oh my god, it's my whole life. You're probably more scared because it's the commitment of the whole life, and it's important to you, or you know what I mean. So it's not like you're not stuck in your own head of just filling it with insignificance. So if art scares you, it's probably pretty good because you want to succeed so bad that you're afraid that you'll fuck it up somehow. Jar, are you going to color the sample pages? No, 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 no. I'm just doing the inks, like the pencils and inks kind of thing. That's what I would want to get hired for. I don't want to be doing color. No, no, no. Michael, I'm just a dude that draws dudes pretending to be other dudes. Dude. All right, on to the next one. Okay, this is kind of on the same topic here. Are you paralyzed with fear? That's a good sign. Fear is good. Like self doubt, fear is an indicator. Fear tells us what we have to do. Remember one rule of thumb: the more scared we are of a work or calling, the more sure we can be that we have to do it. Thoughts? Thoughts, bros? How does that make you feel? I know me personally, I that hit the nail right on the head for me. You suffer from anxiety, so you fear. Well, I don't think I would translate very well to the aspects of life. I'm not sure on this one. Cool. I like the open answers, guys. I guess another question I should follow up with, before you get into all this stuff, is like, do most of you in here want to make art like a career, like something you could live on, or is it more of a hobby? Because I think these kinds of like this book in particular, and these questions that I'll just be bringing up as quotes or whatever, like it's definitely geared towards people that want to make that transition, or in their heart they feel that they want to be a professional artist. You know, they want to think and act that way. If you're a hobby artist and stuff, like, there's nothing, no shame or anything like that. But you'll have a different reaction to a lot of these things than somebody that, like me, is scared to death to go 100% freelance and live just solely off of what I am able to do. Like that's, oh god, it's so fucking scary. But that's why this book was so special to me when once I read it, was because a lot of what he was talking about was like, okay, that's how I know it. That's something I have to do. It's not something I'm just like, yeah, we'll do some doodles. Let me see. I keep looking out the window like a creep because I'm waiting for my girlfriend. She'll be getting home soon. Uh, your wife's calling is to be a playground for. Michael, I agree, but you have to overcome that fear, or else you'll just stuck around and regress as an artist. Matador is scared to death. I'm all in with this. So I'm assuming Davon and people like when we're scared to death, like you're going to do. Okay, yes, I'm just sort of iterating here on some of the stuff coming in, and this is some fun talking stuff. Of like Michael saying, like, yeah, you have to get over the fear 100%. One of the big things, and I think I'm just repeating what I said earlier in the book that stuck with me, is with this creative stuff, specifically for this, like for our art, because that's our calling in ways, whether we want to get magical with that or not, um, is just that thought that using fear as a compass. If it's something you are absolutely terrified to do as an artist, that means you got to go all in. And it's the only way you'll cure whatever the hell that is that's inside of you, because it won't go away. It'll never go away. I'll tell you, as somebody that's been deathly afraid to go freelance for like the last, I'll even say 20 years. I tried once, and I squandered that opportunity because I didn't take it seriously. I didn't give it the respect it deserved, and I got burned from it for in my own fault. 100%, I deserved it. And I've been deathly afraid to go back for many reasons. The fake security you get at a day job, the benefits, paid vacation time. I don't got to really hunt down work. I just show up every day and there's work kind of thing, right? There's some comforts in that. And I'm just saying that's for me. I'm not saying everybody that is in this art thing, you got to all follow the same path and all that stuff. But I agree when I started hearing the things he was saying to me personally of like, if you fear it, it's because it's that important to you that you fear anything other than that happening, and that's the reality. And if you can't find some way of using fear as a compass, that's what I loved so much about just hearing that, because it was like, okay, if fear is a compass, you still got to overcome the fear, like Michael's saying, 100%. But just know that as you go forward, it's always going to be scary. And that fear shows up in different ways. It can be resistance. It can be lots of things. But it'll never go away. And it's never gone away for me. And that's where I was like, okay, I agree with it to a point because of that sort of thing. Troy is saying, for me, it has always been a career, but not working for the big two, just doing my own thing, my own stories. Matador, I feel like I've learned enough to make a comic, but I know without a doubt that there's no way in hell I could ever do a page a day. Dennis said it before, but I definitely don't want to do this for a living. It would kill me because I like it too much. I've already sold my soul doing graphics for games. Okay, I could relate to you on that one, brother. Davon, I came to realize that creating is something I'm supposed to do. Man, I'm looking at the mirror. It looks like I'm like way over here looking. I gotta do something with this webcam. It's pissed me off. James, a page a day would just be pencils or inks or colors not finished. Yeah. Yes. Michael, no magic, just voodoo. Matter. I'm saying a page a day of just pencils for a publisher. I don't know how long it would take me to do 24-page comic. So I was talking to Will actually, and he works for Marvel, and I guess the page count is 20 pages now a month, and I think they give you 6 weeks turnaround time. So that's why all these artists, you always get new fill-in artists every now and then, because it's 6 weeks. It just doesn't add up. So I think the new minimum is like 20 pages. I don't know why. They just keep going down, probably making more room for advertising, and there's probably some business etiquette behind it. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. James saying I could do it for a month, but then have to take the next 2 months. It would burn me out. Okay. And again, there's no right or wrong answers. This is just some fun stuff to talk about. All right, on to the next one. Okay, this one I actually like a lot. You let me know what you guys think about this. Our job in this life is not to shape ourselves into some ideal we imagine we ought to be, but to find out who we already are and become it. Oh man, I love it. Sorry, I'm dancing in my seat, trying to get comfy. I'll read that again. Our job in this life is not to shape ourselves into some ideal we imagine we ought to be, but to find out who we already are and become it. Peter, how's it going, buddy? He said, I spent the last 13 years making a living as a tattooist. Wanted to be a cartoonist or comic artist since I was a kid. Currently transitioning from my tattoo work into digital commissions and my own stuff. Currently paralyzed with anxiety and fear. Great to stumble onto the stream. Hey, well, welcome. You came in at probably a really good time. That's pretty much what we're talking about. I like it, buddy. Michael, if it's less pages, then it needs to be less money. Yeah, I mean, Will was telling me the rates and stuff, and I don't know. I mean, I could have a comfortable living off of that. Matador, fear makes me not even bother giving 100% for something that seems like a fantasy. Me drawing comics for a living? Yeah, right. I believe I have a better chance of seeing a unicorn someday. Okay. That sounds like there's a little bit more issues there, but like I guess sort of the thing. I'm not going to debate you on it. That's everybody's got their thing. I'm just wondering like when I hear certain things like what he's talking about is like, and this is where I agree with it. It doesn't really matter your skill level. Everybody can get better at skill. Everybody can you just got to put time in and you can level up. That's it. There's no magic sauce other than that, right? There's luck for sure. Luck plays a role in some of this stuff, but for the most part, put in the time, get better. Not just put in hours and hours and hours, but like ask better questions, smarter questions of yourself, right? And find other things and just keep leveling up, putting in time. And like if you spend what was that one quote I remember hearing somebody say, like, um, you get better at something you do every day. So if you do nothing, you're going to get better at doing nothing every day. Meaning you'll find better excuses to come up with so that you don't have to do this or that, right? But being uncomfortable all the time with art, like, don't get me wrong, I'm having a blast doing this cover. This is great. Right? We're almost at the last little stage here of adding a nice little shade. This cover's pretty much almost done. And it feels great doing this, right? But when I was doing the Spider Gwen stuff, and even the Doctor Doom, like, I felt at on edge. And in hindsight, it's because of that, like, that fear. It's, and I'm not ashamed to say it, just that fear of, like, there's a pedigree here that's set up with not just the quality, but like the shoes I'm filling. Even though it's a sample, doesn't matter. It's still got that. It's still to a company that, you know what I mean, has, to me, has some sort of weight. So I'm fearing what the possible rejection. I don't even know what the future looks like, but I'm already in my head role playing it, right? But that's because it's important. It's important to do. Whether you grow from it or you actually get the job from it, you gotta, at least for me, steer that ship in that direction, right? Lars, I use my art to get away from everything. I need to escape every now and then. If it was a job, it would be too much of a chore, and I wouldn't enjoy it. However, if I could be, I don't know what JSC means. But yeah, you could just be like, you need it for like therapy and that kind of stuff, right? Nothing wrong with that too. Not everybody has to try to be a comic book artist or just an artist in general, right? Davon, I agree with that idea that we all have potential. It's reaching that it's a struggle. Michael, that sounds too much like destiny. I feel life is what it is you do. You never become something due to the fact that you're never at the finish line. Interesting. Okay. I mean, destiny. I could see that. Like, it's sort of like inside you're an artist. Actually, let me pause this recording here. We don't need to watch this. As like an artist, there's something inside of you that tells you need to draw, or there's a reason you gravitate towards it, for sure. Um, I'll speak for myself on this one. Once when I was like fucked up for around a month ago, and then for me it was just going back to when I was a kid and why I was even drawing in the first place. And I found out, for me, there's really one reason, and one reason that I became when I was older is the why I do this. One that I've forgotten, it's a simple thing, is storytelling. I love telling stories, and the way that I'm able to communicate back to humans, because I can't really talk to people in real life, they just don't interest me. um, is that storytelling through comics is how I communicate with people. Not necessarily comics I can do by myself, but other media I'm sure I would be fine with too. But comics is that one thing I can just be myself. I can draw something. This is how I communicate. I've been doing it for many years, so I'm getting better with drawing, and it'll just keep going that way. All that fun stuff, right? So that's that. The other side of it is legacy, not in terms of like I want to be something on a pedestal, but I want to add something to my family tree. I think a lot of my grandpa, who's in the military and in the government and stuff like that, New Brunswick. Um, Even my dad, like what he was. I won't go into the whole family thing with you, but like my dad too, like the way he was able to, like, I'll say, crawl out of darkness, and then that means some other stuff. Just like strong men, and strong women too. That I feel like if I just went to my day job and I did my thing there, and I came home, I'm starting to feel like a little emotional there, but if I came home and I just did that routine, played some Star Wars on PlayStation, whatever, have kids eventually, and just like coast through, I feel like the potential isn't there. And if my family was the other side, like maybe that was just the day to day, maybe my look on that would be different. But I want to leave something behind for other people to enjoy, you know. And if it affects my family tree, even better. If it doesn't, if it affects somebody else to maybe pick up a pencil or something, then even better. But for my own family, like I have a niece right now, and she's starting to draw. But most people, they get out of it. She might get out of it. I don't know. But if she sticks around, maybe I can show her that, like, and it's not just Marvel DC's the cure for that, but if that helps anywhere, like even 2 generations from now or whatever, just go like, oh, your great great uncle or grandpa, whatever, he did some work here. And if that gets their gears moving and stuff, and they might take that to open up a restaurant, or you know what I'm saying. That's the connection I have with this stuff. So it's almost in a way, um, outside of me. It's just something I know I have to do because I don't know what doors it opens for other people, alive or could be alive, if that makes sense. And that might get into the magical kind of sound and stuff there. Oh, J. Scott Campbell is JSC. Okay, so let me just reread your thing that you're saying. However, if I could just be okay, if you could be, got it. All right, so let's go to the next little quote. We'll see what you guys think of this one. Um, let's see. I like this one. What do you guys think of this one? This is probably pretty whatever. The most important thing about art is to work. Nothing else matters except sitting down every day and trying. What do you think of that? And Lars is saying, again, it depends if you're a pro or an amateur. Dave on saying, got to put the work in. Got to read that book. I can't recommend it enough. It's definitely on my top like 5 books that changed my life for sure. David saying, "Got to fall in love with the process." You know what I'm starting to love about the process. The process is very fear-ridden and doubt and whatever. But I'll tell you this, guys. And I know, I mean, I feel like I'm just kind of getting back on the saddle. Jesop King and stuff like that. In the sample stuff with Marvel, blah blah blah. Is like I just trust in the work. All the fear and the doubt. Am I making the right move? Should I really be trying something else? Blah blah blah. That's gonna always be there in the back of your head. There's nothing you can do about it. Brain's never gonna stop that. The brain's gonna continually do that more and more. It's gonna just get worse and worse. It's never gonna go away. It's never gone away from me. It's always there. But the one thing I can do every single day, if I can, you know, pending life things, is just sit down and just do the process, do the work. I know if I follow the A, B, and C steps of like what I did today, I'll get X result generally, right? And as long as I keep doing that, while my brain's being stupid and doubtful and fearful of like, what's tomorrow look like, within reason, right? Like I'm not saying just shut your brain off and always go emotional driven, never go logical at all. I'm not trying to say that, but there's definitely something. I'll speak for myself. There's definitely something that just shows up and itches my head time to time, saying like, "What are you doing? Like, you're wasting your time. Why are you doing this art stuff? Go play Star Wars. You work too much." I'm just using Star Wars as the example because it's a great game. I've been playing a lot, and I want to play it right now. But I gotta draw. Reading books as nerds. Actually, okay, yeah. If you are anti-reading, which I understand, there's an audiobook you can listen to. Somebody pirated on YouTube. I didn't say that, but I said it. Okay, so go check that out too. I'm out of our shit. I like how you drew that hand on Jessup. The hand would have given me. Thanks, buddy. Michael, we all know what Yoda says about trying, but I agree due to the fact that if there is no try, then there is no fail, and without fail, there is no progression. You're going like layers deep on me, brother. I can't keep up with that one. Lars, the number one book that changed Jonathan's life is DC Comics Guide. I mean, I guess that would probably be on my list, eh? The amount I talk about it. Looks like Lars got jokes, Michael says. All right, I'll do a couple more quotes, and we're gonna kill the stream because this is pretty much done, and I just got like farting around to do on my end. Um, I like this one. This one I enjoyed. Okay, you guys let me know. This one sung to me too. It's kind of one of the dark. I made a tweet about it. Whoops, forgot to hit resume on the recording. Bad job. Okay. The artist committing himself to his calling has volunteered for hell, whether he knows it or not. He will be dining for the duration on a diet of isolation, rejection, self doubt, despair, ridicule, contempt, and humiliation. One more time. The artist committing himself to his calling has volunteered for hell, whether he knows it or not. He will be dining for the duration on a diet of isolation, rejection, self doubt, despair, ridicule, contempt, and humiliation. Thoughts? Thoughts. My friends, let me know what you think. That quote in particular, I was like, you know what? When I was feeling pretty, I don't like to say depressed, but I could see myself getting there, and I was like, just that quote, and I was like, cool, all right. It sucks, but as long as other artists are going through it, he's a writer again, like I've said a bunch of times now. He's a writer, but the fact that he's saying something that I can relate to in a way, I'm like, got it, all right. I, if this guy is kind of talking in brief little aberrations of like, I didn't even know you're there, Jesop. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Hey, Bobo Cat. You've been there a while. You look like you're sleeping. Jesus, sorry, I didn't hear you jump up. Anyway, he was talking and that kind of thing, and I'm like, all right, cool. So that's not. I don't think every artist is like always feels that, but I would surmise that we feel that more often than not, or at least once. I don't know, once a month, once every couple months, but it's a recurring thing, and because of that, it's actually normal. That's that's the I've conceded to the belief that something always has a counter something, right? The action and reaction. So like, wow, this is taking a while to save. I got to check something. It might be because there's things going on. But let's say, and I use this analogy all the time, love, right? Love. You can't have love without like bitter. Sweet with bitter and sweet, right? So if everything was sweet, then you would stop remembering and knowing what sweet is. Without bitter, you get that contrast, right? So love and hate, whatever you want. So the cost of us, and this is what I believe, the cost of me having the ability to take you to a place and tell you a story and entertain you for a little bit with an image like this or the stream today is there's got to be a cost. Like this is too much power for a single person to have to transport somebody's imagination and your like literal attention. If I have that forever, that makes me like amazing, and that's not healthy. The counterbalance to that is I have to start eating a cost, right? And that cost is my time, and my time is isolation, and isolation leads to those things. So that's the cost, right? And that's why I believe that's what I'm saying. I've told you guys like going on walks has helped or whatever, but like I literally have to make sure I get out of the house every single day. And even if I'm going for a walk and seeing people walking a dog or whatever, it connects me back, or grabbing like grass and smelling it and touching a chain link fence. It breaks me, it gets me away from the power that I have with this stuff, and it brings me back to reality. I know that sounds probably hocus pocusy, but it just, for my brain, it works or whatever. That's why I really dug listening to that thing. Okay, let me just go up there. You just sold you the book. And I'm going to go up and read what you're saying, but I'll just reread the quote there for those that missed it. The artist committing himself to his calling has volunteered for hell, whether he knows it or not. He will be dining for the duration on a diet of isolation, rejection, self-doubt, despair, ridicule, contempt, and humiliation. Let me just catch up with you guys. Pessimism. Mm-hmm. And Large saying it's 1 a.m. It's way too. I know, right? We're going 5 layers in the matrix here. Matter. Deep down inside, though, there's nothing more than I want more to make art for a living. My man. He's also saying all true quotes. I think you just sold me on that book. Okay, all right. Dennis, I can feel it, but also feels a bit like saying a poet feeling for himself. Yeah, and that's the thing I want to just highlight for sure. If he does add a little mysticism, that's why I talk about the muses and stuff like that, like your true calling, and literally the name of the book, The War of Art. Like just that phrase could piss some people off, and this book might not be for you. But if you can just sort of, and it bothered me for a long time, but once I started going like, you know what, it's okay that if I got a little romantic with it, so that I could just appreciate it for what it was for and try to get something out of it, that war could mean resistance. Just sitting down the fear of sitting down and what that might lead to. It's kind of like becoming rich. A lot of people don't want to become rich because deep down inside they're scared of it, right? They're scared of changing what's around them, right? And that's fear. And fear is a form of resistance. And resistance is the number one thing that we have to fight as artists, right? Dave on sign up for one of those extra helping suit Victor at the end. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're saying there. James, see you later, buddy. Love with open. Before the Freddy method, what was your process? James, don't go, bro. Just kidding. I'm not a gamer. I played Battlefront for like 17 hours last week. My man, you know what I'm talking about. Loot crates aside, that game is phenomenal. And I know it's not like the best game created, but if you love Star Wars and like, I'm just saying, as a casual shooter, I can go in there and I feel like some progression with leveling up. It feels good. I just realized I missed the coloring thing here. So my process before the Freddy method, that's what was asked there. So my process before the Freddy method was old school pencils. Those are the only jobs I was going for. So what the hell does that mean? If I could, well, you guys know what pencils are. You guys know what I'm talking about. So with pencils, all I would do is I would look for jobs that just needed a penciler, and then they would find another inker, and that inker would come on board and do whatever. I'll be honest, I don't think I ever worked with an inker that penciled as much as I enjoyed, or like penciled to the quality level. And there's a little bit of arrogance that comes with that statement. I'll say that for sure. But then I started noticing that everybody that was offering jobs, they wanted inkers too, and I was like, oh shit, I can't ink. I don't want to learn inking. I'm stubborn. So I thought, well, maybe I could just darken my pencils. So I went into Photoshop. I even messaged Mike Diodato. I talked about that before. As he was posting on DeviantArt, he posted this thing for this X-Men piece he did, and it was pencils. And he just penciled so clean that he could have some settings in Photoshop and it looked inked. And he'd go in and clean it up a little bit. And I did that for a while, but that just took too much time because I'm not a clean penciler. As you can probably tell the way I work, everything's very like messy and sloppy. And then even when I read the DC Comics guide, it took me a while to fully commit to that because I just like the deadline style just bothered me, and sometimes it still bugs me. But I've gotten over it, and now I know where it's gonna go, and now I'm a fan. Now I'm like, all right, I get it. I enjoy it. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. But you don't have to do this, right? Like Marvel, if that's how you want to work for Marvel or whatever, like they still hire pencilers, right? Like it's not a dying thing. You can still do a comic in pencils. It doesn't have to be inked and all that cool stuff. Star Wars comes out next week, and that's crazy to me, man. Matter, I already have despair, rejection, isolation, all that other stuff. Might as well do something towards achieving fantasy. Then my man, there you go, right? All right, last quote, and then I think this is pretty much done here. I just want to see if there's a good one. Okay, this one's a long one, and I haven't read it, and I just see bits and pieces. So I'm gonna watch or read it to you guys. You guys take what you want from it. He's using the word God. I believe he does believe in like God and Jesus and all that stuff. So if you don't try like what I do, I'm not a big believer in that stuff. So what I do is I can understand when somebody says like a guardian angel. I get it. I might not believe in it, but I understand the principle behind it. So if you can understand the meaning, if it can get you to the meaning, just hear it for that. Don't just go, ooh, religion, shut it off, and then you miss out on a possible message. That's the way I look at it. So this one is, are you a born writer? Also, I'll just say like artist in general. Whenever he talks like this, remember he's a writer too. Okay. Are you a born writer? Were you put on earth to be a painter, a scientist, an apostle of peace? In the end, the question can only be answered by action. Do it or don't do it. It may help to think of it this way. If you were meant to cure cancer or write a symphony or crack cold fusion and you don't do it, you not only hurt yourself, even destroy yourself, you hurt your children, you hurt me, you hurt the planet. You shame the angels who watch over you, and you spite the Almighty who created you, and only with your unique gifts for the sole purpose of nudging the human race 1 millimeter further along its path back to God. Creative work is not a selfish act or a bid for attention on the part of the actor. It's a gift to the world and every being in it. Don't cheat us of your contribution. Give us what you've got. So what I love about that is, again, remove it's all layered in mysticism, and I could see the destiny talk and all that stuff. But what I do like about it, I'll just be real. What I do like about that is it's like, it makes it sound like, I don't want to say everybody's special because, everybody will have an opinion on that. But I do think it's a great way to look at it. Everybody let's put it this way: if you're watching me draw and you feel like you need to draw, there's a reason for that, and it's either it's a fun hobby or it's something more. And if it's something more, then it really is up to you to try your best to figure out some way of giving back to the rest of us. And that sort of like goes into what I was saying of for me anyway, why I enjoyed parts of that book anyway, was because it would talk about things just like that. That that's the cost to becoming an artist. Sadly, and I'm sure it's different for every artist. It's not the same for all artists, but the cost of having the power of telling stories to people, like, and think about it, like that's a massive power. I'm able to take this 2D piece of paper and I can manipulate it in a way that tells you a story that could potentially make you cry. Or imagine this. This one, I always love this one. If you got kids, especially, I don't, but I imagine this is true. Is that feeling of being a dad, making a comic book, even a mini comic, it doesn't have to be published, and showing it to your kids, whatever, and letting them know that you made that thing. And then, I don't know about you, but I would assume at some point, once they understand how the world works a little bit more, they get proud. And if you can like make your, I don't know, that the idea is more, the romantic idea of that is sort of what's got me up in emotions, kind of thing. Is like the fact that, yeah, a kid I don't even have could go, I drew because of you. Hell, even when you guys say things like, I got back into drawing because of your channel and your, whatever, that's like moving stuff. And I mean, I don't want, if it sounds friggin' cheesy and gay and all that stuff, that's cool, whatever. But at the same time, I mean, it's an honor. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. And that's and religion aside, I'm not a big religion guy, but I can understand why people look to God and stuff to take that burden that they can't handle, and somebody else is there to help. I get it. But just the fact that we have that power too, and all we're doing is drawing, like, that's, I don't know, it's crazy to me. And I do realize that vocalizing this is making it sound a little like, I don't know, maybe he's starting to lose it. But that's just my fight. And I'll say this too. Thinking of it in terms of that now, a lot of stress is taken off my back, and that's why I was saying, like, I can understand why people look to like God for help and stuff. For me, I still think that there's probably better ways of doing it, but if that helps somebody, as long as you're not killing people and stuff, I'll use your wording. God bless, right? But also just sort of like humanizing it. Share whatever it is that's in you, even if you're not. And that's why I do recommend you guys, right? Like, even if your skills are, air quotes here, not good, or you're not ready to do comics, share it anyway, because you'd be surprised how many cats are out there that are in the exact same spot you're at. And you're like, if I've been inspirational to any of you at all, you've got that power to do it too with the skill and the level you're at. I'm nothing unique. I'm not special. You know? That kind of thing. Anyway, are we done touching butts now, guys? Can we get some testosterone back in here? Am I a believer? Hearing that quote just makes me feel even more pressure on me to draw. Oh God, it sounds good. If you have something that moves the masses, do it, but don't feel pressure. No, exactly, dude. My man, exactly. The gift is everything this world has to offer, and that's the thing, dude. Like, I know you're a great example. You take these amazing pictures. If you guys aren't, if you guys don't follow Michael, not only just your art and where you're at currently, but like the pictures you take too. Like, that helps inspire me to draw locations and stuff, and that's the thing. You never know when your picture is, somebody's going to look at that picture during their day on their feed or wherever, and it just does something subconsciously or whatever. It just gives them like an emotional little like, you know what I mean? Whether or not that's your intent, that's what you're doing. And thank you for that. And again, if this is a hobby, you know what it is. But if this is a hobby, a lot of this will just run off your back. For those of us that are listening to this and it's doing something else, that's who this is for. It's those cats. Okay. The shadow layer really helps. Still think you should try to beef up those contour lines. Okay, yeah. Like I say, I'm just getting this done right now, and then I can come back to it in a day or two with some fresh eyes, and we'll see once we polish it up. Especially once you get here, like bang, look at that, it's starting to come together. It's like almost done. And then we're gonna go boom. Let's get a little signature action on there. Oh baby. And then we're gonna go bang bang. We're gonna knock on that texture. Holy shit! Doesn't that look fire? I think what we'll do though, I'm gonna put a little extra gradient in the background. Maybe some speed lines. What do you think? Some speed lines? That's looking good. Proud of this one. Thanks guys too for joining me today in the feedback. Do appreciate all that stuff. Hey, Jojo Kitty Cat. All right. So what are we doing here? Oh yeah, we need a color balance layer too, and that's gonna really go, really spike it up. Are we gonna stick with the purple? I don't know. All right, let's back this up. I just want to finish this up before I go. And I feel like I got this pressure because my girlfriend's gonna be coming. I'm like, I want to go for a walk too. It's crispy cold outside. Clear my mind after today. Let's go down here. All right, I'll read another quote before you guys go. All those emotional. Okay, this one. This one. La, 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 la. Wait, I like it. What do we fear? What is this? We fear discovering. All right, let's go with this one. I don't know what this one. All right, this is two quotes, but I'll just do this one as a because it's a short and sweet one. I like that one. Fear doesn't go away. The warrior and the artist live by the same code of necessity, which dictates the battle must be fought anew every day. I like that. I like that. That sounds good. Makes you feel more like badass. Sitting down and you think like this piece of shit 2D object here is gonna kick my ass today, and I'm going in there. I'm taking my sword, right? Whatever you use, and you're going in there. And you're like, I'm gonna try. I might get arms and limbs hacked off, but I'm still gonna try. I like that idea. Okay, so this quote here, you guys let me know what you think about this one. We fear discovering that we are more than we think we are, more than our parents, children, teachers think we are. We fear that we actually possess the talent that our still small voice still tells us. That we actually have the guts, the perseverance, the capacity. We fear that we can steer our ship, plant our flag, reach our promised land. We fear this because if it's true, then we become estranged from all that we know. We pass through a membrane. We become monsters and monstrous. Whew. Whew. Doesn't that feel good? I like that. That had some Stugats, some weight to it. I love pretending I'm Italian and saying Stugats because I watched The Sopranos. In The Sopranos, for better or for worse. There's, what a good show. All right, let's open up here. I forget how I put this together, so let's do a little looky. See, colors. Let's open up. Do we want to go like the evil kind of? Kind of like where this one's going. What is this? Page 43? Let's check that out. Page 43. Dennis can't relate to that last part at all. You fear success. Dave on saying 10 out of 10 quotes. Okay, I'll relate to that. I 100% relate or fear success. And that's one of the things why I stepped away from doing Marvel and stuff. So let me maybe word it this way for you. And not everybody will be this, and I understand why. Some people fear. I'll say it. I deep down inside, one of the fears was that if I did get a job at Marvel, that means like again now that I'm stepping into that, I'm transitioning into the next version of me. That I have now. It's all me. I'm the business guy. I have to go do my taxes. I have to shit. Just instantly got real. Right now, there's a level of comfort that I've had for like 35 years that I'm used to. Go to a job, clock in, do overtime if they ask you, come home, have some fun, hang out with some people, play a video game, and then I can do my drawing on the side, right? Um, but once I make that transition, it's not that I can't go back, but think of like the hero's journey without making this sound over the top. When I go, I'm going to get something that I bring back that changes me, right? And changes those around me. And that's the thing. If I make that, it's like winning the lottery. You become, a lot of people, they don't want to become rich. They say they do, but the fear is once you become rich, then you change a little bit, right? Like you might not buy the big house, but maybe a couple people, they come up to you asking you for some money because they're in hard times, or or now you can actually go to a place like a trip. Let's say now you can actually with cash pay for a round trip around the world on something nothing rich people would do, but just people that you wouldn't normally be around, right? And you go do that and maybe meet some new friends there or something, right? And maybe they won the lottery too and you guys have a relation there, right? Like I know I'm doing a lot of like what ifs, but your circle, like everything changes, right? Like there's a reason why us artists, we all start finding each other eventually because or you might notice that you might not talk to people in social events. You prefer to be by yourself, and a lot of artists are like that because you start finding social circles that you're part of and your world changes. And some people deep down inside are scared of that because one thing that pretty much every human's afraid of is change. We would rather do the same abusive thing to ourselves over and over again. Like, why don't you go to the gym? Because it's too much work. It's too much effort. But you'll have a brand new body. You'll be healthier. You'll live better. Yeah, but who's got time? Right? There's excuses and stuff. So that's what he's meaning with that. If that makes sense. If you're young, if you're like 18 years old or younger, or maybe even up to 25, you'll probably think you're invincible and you got all the world ahead of you. The older you get, the more you realize, and you probably heard it before, but the more you realize that that is so not true. Your actions have consequences, and non-actions have big consequences too. So, if that helped you at all, that's sort of where that was coming from. Oh yeah, another thing is I just quickly saw it there. The other side is too is right. Like yeah, once you reach the top, like imagine this. Okay, let's say you did get a job at Marvel. I'm just using that as an example. Now, when you go to a convention, you don't have a booth in Artist Alley. You could, but guess who else? You're also part of that a club now of very talented established artists, right? Now you're in that world. You're not in the other world anymore. You're there. So there's a new rule set and stuff that you gotta have to learn. And once you get to the top, it's a smaller group of people, but it's different. It's a different world there. It's not. It can't be the same. It just can't. There's no way it can be. You could try. You can do the best you can to go like, like when like you. Anyway, I'm going all over the place. I'm sure at some point that made sense somewhere there. Bronco, how's it going, buddy? Do you put the barcode on the back? No, because I don't sell the comics. Like these aren't for print. This is just digital only, and it's free online, so there's no money to be made there. And barcodes, I think you got to pay for all that stuff, and I haven't put any time into that. Sorry, I wish I had a better answer there. Michael, it would definitely be new territory to be on top, which is only natural since humans are creatures of comfort, right? So if something's new makes nervous. Yep. Dennis is okay. There you go. He's actually saying it's probably because my Matador. You have not only be inspirational, but I learned most of what I know about using perspective to create scene from what you. Well, thank you, dude. I do appreciate that. Thanks, Matador. Dennis, I'll take any success story I can get right now. Life's over soon. All right, see you, Lars. Thanks for being here, buddy. Dennis is 45. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So I'm gonna do one more quote. I guess I know I just keep talking with this. All right, this one's a simple one. I'm sure you guys will agree with this one. It's better to be in the arena getting stomped on by the bull than to be up in the stands or out in the parking lot. Okay, cool, Bronco. Sorry, boss. I'm like that answer is probably the most like, you'll figure it out answer you could get. All right, let's take a look at this. I think this is a brighter one here. We'll go there, and we'll copy this color balance. Let's try it. So duplicate this guy, and we will super saturation and paste the color balance. How does that feel? That's got some. It's got some danger zone in there. Right, let's go to our flats layer, and we will go here, and we'll do the light color first. Let's grab an airbrush. All right, so go here. So I'm gonna bring it over to the yeller. Bring it up here, and we're just gonna highlight. Just here, we'll do some Bob Ross. We're just gonna have a happy little kiss. Kiss some highlights over here. Just a little kiss. I'll shut up now. All right, so we'll have that there, and then we will go into color. I'll put that under, and then we'll go darker. This is just to draw the eye, really. So we'll go big time down here. Go into the yeah, we'll go gray, just to see how this looks here. And I'm leaving all the other stuff in there just so I can kind of see it. There we go. So it just spotlights where your eye has to look. Your eye can't look there now, right? It has to look at Jesop's head. Perfect. All right, color balance. Turn these here. Let's see how it all looks. Ooh, I think that's gas. Oh, that feels good. That feels good. Might have to go in there and do that thing that Lars was talking about with the line weights around this. You guys let me know what you think. Like this is the other side I will add too. Let me just save it. The way I'm coloring this comic is I'm doing my best not to go in there to add highlights and rim lights and stuff like that. Trust me, if I went in here and I added like a, I don't know, like a red from below or a blue or a green or something alien underneath, I could go in there and I could start doing like these little like undercuts on the thumbs and stuff, and you probably wouldn't need that thick outline because that alone would separate it. But I don't want to do that because it's not the style the way this is looking, right? Um, Same with the background. I could add like a blue thing to kind of bring this stuff out. I'm trying to keep this as quick as possible because it takes time, obviously, to do this shit. And the faster we can move this along, the better. But anyway, let's see what you guys are saying here. I'm going to just give me a second. I'm going to stop the recording here. All right, we'll do a little pausey poo. I'm going to click a little stoppy stop. And I'll give you guys a little rundown now while this is all saving. And then I'm going to say goodbye to you and read you guys' comments. But I'm going to post this up on Patreon. The full PSD, so you guys can click around, do all that fun stuff. There's actually like a reward tier for that, so if you're not up in that reward tier, you can't get it. But I definitely will post this, and then I'll do the what's it called, color 2. I will post the process of it in like JPEG or whatever, so you guys check that out. Also, this video that I'm recording in the background, it'll be a condensed video with narration over top, so you guys can see the process from start to finish, blah blah blah, all that cool stuff. And trying to think what else. No, let's don't save changes there. And then if you're not on Patreon, this stuff will come out usually like a month from now. So probably the end of January, you guys will see this stuff. So you'll see it again. But we'll be working more on this stuff coming forward too. I feel like the gloves blend too much with the pink of the monsters. I agree. I noticed that's probably gonna be a problem just because it's a lot of red. Um, we'll see how this goes. I do like the way it looks myself. Just being critical, I do see what you guys are saying, and I agree. I should probably punch up some of the line weight in some of the spots here, and it's really not that big of a deal. It's simple shapes here that we can get that going. Hey Warder, how's it going, buddy? Appreciate that. Okay, well, that's it. I'll say goodnight to you guys. Bye-bye. Love you. Good luck working on whatever you guys are working on today or whatever else you're working on. I appreciate you guys sticking around here in the streams and stuff. Sorry if I was like slurring my words and stuff. Just getting over being cold and blah, blah, blah. You guys don't care about that. But anyway, thanks so much. I will see you guys when I see you. All that cool stuff. And whatever you're working on, I wish you the best. Keep reading comics. Keep making comics. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.